Autumn has arrived. Shadows have crept where light once stood. Something unseen is waiting for you. Do you dare follow me to hear 3 real, terrifying awe? Whispers twist through the wind. Footsteps echo where no one should be. Secrets waiting to be uncovered. Tonight, I will take you on a journey. A journey through 3 real, chilling autumn stories. Stories that will make you question the corners of your own world. Stories that might be closer to you than you ever imagined. Story 1. The Lost Travelers in the Corn Maze. Everyone thinks a corn maze is just harmless fun. A few actors in masks, some fake screams, and maybe a cup of hot chocolate at the end. But that night, we realized some shadows aren't fake. The air was colder than you'd expect for late October. Every breath came out like mist, clinging to the car windows in a pale fog. From the moment we turned onto that narrow road, carpeted with orange and brown leaves, I felt something strange settle in my chest. Bare trees stretched their branches toward the sky like brittle hands, and the wind whispered through them with a mournful sound. That night, everything carried the spirit of Halloween. It was me, Mike, Sarah, and Emily. We'd decided to chase a little thrill at King's Pumpkin Farm, the most famous corn maze around. Everyone said the haunted maze was the scariest part, an endless labyrinth filled with masked actors waiting to jump out. When we arrived, a massive wooden gate stood before us. Painted across it was a scarecrow, huge eyes, a crooked smile. The longer you stared at it, the more that smile seemed to stretch. We bought our tickets and stepped inside. The cold grew sharper. Fog rolled down across the fields, so thick it blurred the floodlights into faint, ghostly halos. It was tall, brittle, like living walls pressing close on both sides. As we walked, the air smelled of damp soil and decaying stalks. Our laughter didn't carry far. It dissolved into the fog almost instantly. At first, everything went as expected. Actors burst from the rows with bloodied masks and buzzing chainsaws with no blades. We screamed, then laughed it off. Sarah even fell once, and we all doubled over laughing. But slowly, something shifted. After about half an hour, the actors seemed fewer. The outside world had gone silent. The paths twisted and stretched endlessly. Nothing but corn walls and repeating turns. Mike muttered, "Weird. There should be more people here by now." Just then, a cold gust swept through the stalks, and we heard it. A rustling, soft, right behind us. We froze, looked around. Nothing. We laughed nervously and kept walking. A few steps later, it came again. Closer this time, Sarah whispered, "That's not an actor. That's footsteps." And then we heard the laugh. Not the exaggerated kind the actors used. This was low, rough, a dry, hollow sound, like it came from deep inside someone's chest. Like leaves breaking underfoot. Mike chuckled nervously. "Wow, that's new. Sounds real." But none of us laughed. We walked faster. The laugh followed. Every time we stopped, it stopped. Then, as we turned a sharp corner, we saw it. A figure in the fog, tall, thin, wrong. For a single heartbeat, it stood there. Then, with unnatural speed, it vanished. My chest tightened. Sarah gasped, You saw that, right? Someone was there, but no one answered. The fog thickened, shrinking our vision to only a few feet. Rustling now came from both sides of the path, as if something, or several things, were moving alongside us, hidden by the corn. Emily grabbed my hand. Hers was trembling. "Please, we need to get out of here." Suddenly, the laughter swelled. From the left, from the right, from ahead, even above, surrounding us. Mike shouted, "Run!" And we did. The stalks whipped our faces as we sprinted blindly through the maze. The fog was a wall. The laughter chased us, multiplied, closing in. My foot caught on something. I fell hard. The others kept going. When I looked up, I saw it. A tall, narrow silhouette. Its limbs stretched too far to be human. It leaned down toward me, and its eyes, two yellow circles, glowed through the fog, locked onto mine. I couldn't breathe, couldn't scream. Just that laugh, now so close it was in my ear. With a jolt of panic, I scrambled up and ran. Anywhere, just away. Then, suddenly, I stumbled out of the stalks and hit the asphalt of a narrow road. The cold bit into my skin. I turned back. The maze loomed, silent. No shadows, no sound, just stillness. Minutes later, Mike, Sarah, and Emily emerged from another exit. Their faces pale, their breaths ragged. Sarah's voice shook. "We saw it too." The shadow, the eyes. Mike nodded, his face drained. And something else. I saw a scarecrow, but it didn't have a face, just an old rotting mask nailed to a pole. And beneath it, lying in the dirt, there was a coin, etched with that same crooked smile from the gate. We never went back, but every Halloween since that night, I get a text. No words, no number I recognize, just one emoji, a scarecrow. And I know it remembers me. Story 2. The Uninvited Guest in the Autumn Cabin. They say the forest is a refuge, a place to breathe, to escape the noise. But no one ever tells you how the silence of the woods, once night falls, can feel like a threat. I'm a graphic designer, an immigrant, the kind of person who always feels like the other in a crowd. Even when I smile, the stares stay cold, like an invisible border between me and everyone else. That's why I rented a small cabin deep in the autumn woods. I thought maybe here, at last, I could find a place where those eyes wouldn't follow me. The first nights were exactly what I'd hoped for. Rain on the wooden roof, the damp smell of wet soil, the soft hiss of yellow and orange leaves tumbling in the wind. From the porch, I'd watch thousands of autumn leaves scatter across the ground like dead butterflies. Mist rising slow between the bare branches. For the first time in years, I felt I could breathe again. But on the third night, that illusion cracked. It started with footsteps, soft measured. 4 steps, pause. 5 steps, pause. The problem was simple. The cabin had no upstairs, just a sealed attic, a place no one should be able to go. I told myself it was an animal. I had to. But the next morning, when pale autumn light spilled through the window, I saw it. On the ceiling, a smudge. A footprint, not an animal's. A shoe. Incomplete, as if someone didn't want to leave the whole print behind. On the 4th night, The rain turned wild. Wind hurled the bare branches against the windows, and beneath that storm, I heard something sliding across the floorboards. Then, scratching. Rhythmic, not random, as if someone was spelling out a message. I grabbed my phone. My finger hovered over call when the sound stopped. Silence, heavier than before. Then, from above, through the damp, rotting boards came a whisper. Low, deliberate. "You don't belong here." Words I'd heard so many times in the city, under people's breath, in their stares, now spoken by something I couldn't even see. I ran, barefoot, with only the terror in my chest to keep me moving. Autumn rain lashed my face. Wet leaves slid beneath my feet, but I didn't stop. I leapt into the car and drove back toward the city. I thought I'd escaped, but nightmares know how to follow you home. That night in my apartment, I left every light on. My breaths were short, uneven. I told myself it was all in my head, but at midnight, 3 knocks came. Soft, precise, against my window. I pulled back the curtain. No one there, but on the fogged glass, 5 long, thin finger marks. I thought that was the end, but since that night, no matter where I go, no matter where I sleep, I hear the same footsteps. 4 steps, pause. 5 steps, pause. Then, the scratching at the wall. And every time, the same whisper returns. You don't belong here. But now I understand. The nightmare didn't stay in the cabin. The nightmare lives with me. Story 3. University Library. The clock had passed midnight, and the university library was almost empty. Only a few students remained, and the silence of the hall was broken only by the faint rustling of dry leaves under chairs and footsteps. I, Jack, a second-year student, sat at my study table, trying to focus. It was fall. The cold, foggy nights made the library feel cozy, but also strangely eerie. That night, I saw him for the first time. An old man, his face covered in deep wrinkles, a long scar running across his cheek, long white hair and a flowing beard, sitting behind a dark bookshelf, staring straight at me. His gaze, it wasn't normal. Not the gaze of an ordinary human, but that of a predator observing its prey. I didn't know why, but from that moment, I felt I was no longer the only student in the library. He seemed to watch everything, every move I made. In the following nights, I saw him again in different spots. Behind the philosophy shelves, next to an overlooked study table, always staring with that same cold, fixed gaze. I never saw him hold a book or turn a page. On one night, I was alone. 2 girls and a boy who had been studying until midnight had left one by one. The library's thick silence left only me and that gaze. Then I heard it, a faint scratching from the shelves hidden in darkness, as if someone was running their fingers along the spines of books. The sound grew closer, and then, slowly, a book slid out from a partially dark shelf. Written on its cover, in uneven letters, "You are not alone." Panic filled me. I grabbed the book and ran. The 200-meter path between the library and my dorm, usually ordinary, now felt like a tunnel of fear. Tall trees with bare branches, fallen autumn leaves underfoot. and thick fog weaving among the branches. Each step felt watched. Each shadow seemed alive. I could almost feel him behind me, even when no one was there. When I reached my dorm, I was out of breath. My heart pounded like a drum. But the real terror began when I entered my room. He was there, sitting on my bed. Was it real? Or just a paranoid hallucination? Either way, my whole body froze. For a moment, I felt like I was going to pass out. The next morning, I woke up with heavy anxiety. The bed was empty, but every day, returning to the library, I would see him lurking in some dark corner, always staring, always still. The white beard, the scarred, wrinkled face. No one else ever saw him, but his presence had marked my life. Every step, every glance, a silent, constant fear I couldn't escape. Over the days, the short path between dorm and library became a journey of tension. I was no longer just a student walking to study in fall. I was a target. And every night, with each return to the library, I knew the game had begun. And its ending was still unknown. These 3 real autumn stories have come to an end. But are you ready for the next horrifying truths? Stories where even the police couldn't help. Tell me, which part scared you the most? And get ready for the next video, where the real terror begins.